So this is a very so this is a very new player up on the rise against M0h1nder, who is like a very
I think they're the person who's
pretty
played
much a
more.
veteran.
They've at least
Yeah,
had the game open longer than anybody
yeah.
else in the history of Wargroove.
The person who's had the game opened the longest ever.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, like M0h1nder, occasionally people will post screenshots of like how much they played Wargroove, and then M0h1nder will come in and it'll be like 20,000 hours played. It's just like literally just hadn't closed Wargroove 1. Someone may
Just
overtake M0h1nder now actually because they're playing Wargroove 2. So maybe someone will come in and be like, "Oh, I'll beat them at the Wargroove 1 hours played game." But
I mean, good luck to anyone attempting to do that. I guess it's gonna take
just,
a while.
all you have to do is buy Wargroove 1, leave it open for 5 years, and then yeah.
Yeah, that's all. Let's see. Looks like Warble actually did the more like advanced opening and is gonna be able to harass M0h1nder's commander. Where M0h1nder went for the more intuitive opening, that kind of, and then yeah, because of that, Warble now has both lumber mills to cut the trees from. M0h1nder is eventually gonna take this one back with Dark Mercia, but it's gonna be very like they are gonna be missing this early income spike from the lumber mill that went to Warble instead, and you know that that means Warble will have the money to buy one big unit early, and Mercia loves big units. So let's see.
Yeah.
Actually, never mind. Warble decides not to go into a crazy turbo build. Instead, just buys more medium tier units.
Yeah, which makes sense actually. Like you wanna, because there are two things you can do. You can go for that big unit. You can go for the golem, which works really well with Mercia. You could even potentially bank to get a second golem the next turn, or
Ooh,
you can get a bunch of like medium units, which I actually think makes sense because you need to get the
the air
flamingo
trooper,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, you need to get the air trooper. So
And actually, because you bought like a bunch of medium units, you didn't have to cut the trees on the right, which means this turn you can buy a big unit. And this archer, yeah, that was
ooh, that's
left
actually
open for swords to hit, and that's not very nice.
yeah. And this is the annoyance of oh wow,
Oh, wow,
okay.
really? And this is where Dark Mercia wishes she was Mercia, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess like that much of a lead. We've got so much pressure on this left hand side. This sword constantly capturing the village and keeping Dark Mercia busy. Like she isn't pushing the lumber mill. She isn't being aggressive against the opponent's army. Like she's just constantly having to fight other stuff. And I think that hit on the archer was kind of the thing that sealed the deal, right? Like you're already behind, and then your opponent gets a really good gold trade aggression on you.
Yeah, this is kind of an opening snowball, and M0h1nder like played the game long enough, or at least left it open long enough to know like how these kinds of games tend to go.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
fairly
you're playing for
surrenderable,
lethal at that point, more or less. And I think
which I guess
Warble,
Dark Mercia can do, but you know,
yeah,
won't be a very fun game at least.
true. And I guess like if you're playing, if this is like early in TYM and you've got like 10 games open, you can just be like, you know what, this game just isn't going my way. I'm gonna go and play my other ones instead. So
I mean, you can go, okay, now I know what the opening is, and I'm gonna use it in my other games.
yeah, that's true. Whereas Warble, I think Warble is the kind of player that has looks into openings and does very well on them. So in this kind of situation where like you're playing out the first 5 turns, Warble knows their stuff. I've been very impressed by like how good Warble is in the first like 5 turns of every game they've played. So
Yeah, I mean, Solidarity, they do research openings because they like doing the Mercia heal in the opening. So that's not something you do without preparation, really.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess like Mercia is a very good commander to pick for a new player because of that, right? If you get rewarded heavily for doing research into openings, and that's I think one of the most important things you can learn early on is how do I open on a map without falling behind, or even how do I open on a map to get a lead. So yeah, really nicely played, and Warble takes it.
Good stuff.